Okay. That was a little bit more seductive than I just was expecting as a response. Call and response. Call and response.
After hours.
Lou and me after dark. So, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Why is it just okay?
Well, what happened was,
Oh, no. Here we go.
here I was minding my own business.
Yes.
And then you, a few
Oh, no, it's me? I did it?
Yeah, well, like last month or so, you were like, I'm going to do an auction.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do an auction and I'm going to sell some of my board games that I don't really want anymore. And I'm like, okay, you should do that. You definitely should do that. And you said, okay, I'm going to do that. And then you put them all up on a website called BGG. I don't know what that stands for.
Board Game Geek.
There we go. Yep. And there was like, I don't know how many games.
Oh, there was over 100 different items on there. Yeah.
And you went, this is going to be a big one. And I remember last time you had an auction, I think it was before we moved, and you cried. I remember a specific time when you took like the third trip to the post office and you came back and you were red-faced and you were just so upset about like dealing with other people and printing labels and taping boxes, and you were just so like frustrated.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
And so when you said it this time, and since we've moved here, I know that you've been trying to make like a really good effort into taking care of yourself mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And especially in this last year, since November.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I don't want to see you go through this again. I don't want you to cry and be upset. So then I decided that I was going to offer all of my help.
Okay.
And I was going to, okay, whatever you need me to do, I'll do. I'll pack boxes, I'll print labels, whatever needs to be done. I'll help you do that because I don't want you to be sad. And so then like day one, it didn't go so well. I was really afraid of getting you upset even more so. And I didn't want to make you mad. And I ended up frustrating you because you're like, let's just get this done. And I'm like, I don't know how. And
Well, that's not fair.
And then, so this last, I don't know, week, I've been helping, taping boxes, sorting orders, printing labels, sticking labels, transporting boxes downstairs, putting them on the doorstep for the disgruntled postal worker. And I don't know if I've helped like at all because you're still kind of itchy, I feel, about the whole thing.
No. I'm not itchy at you at all. I'm itchy about the whole thing, but because of things that you can't control. And things I can't control that are out of my control, but that just still piss me off. But no, you've been a wonderful help with the packing and shipping and labeling and all of that stuff. Okay. And helping me sort and determine, okay, well, this guy said he needs to wait till Saturday and this person wants to wait until Monday. And, we need to order some boxes. And so these 12 orders have to wait until those boxes come in and I need to write and tell those people.
Ew.
But, there's other stuff that happened this time around that doesn't normally happen with auctions that are, one, kind of scary, and then two, just really frustrating and wasting a lot of my time, right?
Yeah. So we have 48 orders.
There was 48 total orders, yeah.
And we have sent 13 on Friday and then 12 yesterday. And so that's like what, 25 already. Right. So we're almost halfway through it.
Well,
more than halfway.
Of the 48 so far, 3 of those orders have been canceled
because of, situationals.
There was weird things on all 3 of them. And then I actually think there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 that are waiting for boxes.
Yeah.
And then there are...
Because can we just talk about the standardization of box sizes around here? Well, why is every single board game a different size than the previous? Why are...
It all comes down to marketing and different publisher standards.
There's a tiny box. There's a medium box. There's a bigger box. Then there's a little bit bigger box than that. Then there's this random weird size box where you need a 14 by 14 by 10 dimensional box that only,
In fairness, prior to Kickstarter becoming like a big part of the board game industry, there really was only like 4 different box sizes for board games.
That's 3 too many.
Well, not the reason there were the different sizes is because one was a standard European box size, then a standard American box size,
Of course.
right? And then you had small versions of both of those, right? So you had the large and small, Europeans and American. Now we have all these different variations in it, and even if a box is a standard American square box, some of them might be 1 or 2 millimeters bigger, which means it's not going to fit in your standard shipping box. So now you need a special box for it.
And it's not just the box size either. For these other boxes to go into, you have to put bubble wrap because you know you want
Some
to
sort of
save the
packing.
corners.
Yep.
You have to put like some sort of and then if they're just wide enough for each other, then they're not tall enough for each other, and then God forbid I'm gonna order 4. Okay, great. What box size does that go into?
Yeah.
Heaven help me. Anyways, I've been trying to help. But oh man, alive!
No, you've
No
been
wonder
very helpful.
No, I feel like crying, and I took away maybe a quarter of the work, but
Yeah, a lot of the
a
work
quarter
is
of the stress.
a lot of the work is dealing with the processing of the orders, paperwork, like.
And it's not other people's fault. It's just the grueling back and forth, switching things and giving all this information and
Well, the worst part is that I don't control, like, because this is not a business. This is just me trying to get rid of some old games or games I don't want. I'm losing money on every game technically, right? Because I pay $50 for a game and I can sell it for maybe $11. So that's a huge loss of money, right? Mm-hmm. And then they want to like haggle shipping cost. And I don't control the shipping cost. There's not a lot I can do about that.
Right.
I don't have the ability to get like a shipping account with somebody to get like a real good discount because this is a one-time shot. I'm shipping right now and then that's it. Mm-hmm. I don't have the ability, to get a cheaper rate than what is retail rates for things most of the time. In some cases, like if you use PayPal to print your label, you can get like up to 50 cents off of standard shipping cost, right? But it's still going to be like, instead of $21, it's $20, right? There's not a lot I can do about that. And so then I have to deal with people like doing that business. I have to deal with people who want local pickup, but won't take no for an answer.
And then they make a fake account and then they still try to scam you. It's basically what I'm trying to say overall is, can we not be a board game business?
Yeah, I don't want to sell board games.
Because
I wanted to make board games for a while, but after, watching the success and horror stories of Kickstarter, which is the way you'd have to go as a private single individual to make your own board game. I'm just like, no. I don't like shipping. Like if this auction was huge, but even when the auctions were like a 10 game auction, those were stressful.
Yeah.
Because that's 10 things I got to pack, 10 things I have to ship, 10 things I have to charge, 10 things I have to label, 10 things I have to transport, 10 things, you know what I mean?
The tape alone is annoying. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see why you've been so upset every time. Because,
it's really
I can
stressful.
definitely see.
It's really
so
stressful.
I tried to take off the stress as much as I possibly could.
Well, you did. You have a lot.
And we're not even completely done yet. So
it'll all be wrapped up by Thursday. Well, by Friday, because we'll have to get the boxes on Thursday, pack those, and then next Monday. Because these people haven't paid yet either. So it's always a chance that some of these remaining 8 will not pay. But overall, I'm thrilled because I had 100 items stacked here on the floor in front of the game shelves. Mm-hmm. I couldn't even see half of my game shelves. And as it stands right now, I only have 8 things that have been officially canceled out of the 100 items.
So that's really good.
And I can just take those and just give them away.
Yeah. donate them to
or scrap them for parts.
donate them to the local board game shop, or have coworkers pay shipping and you'll send them whatever game.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's lots of ways to get rid of them, quote unquote, if
Yep.
you really want to do it that way. But yeah, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think going forward, I will only auction games that have value. Mm-hmm. Like
Where you can,
I can get at least
reasonably-
75% of what I paid.
yeah.
And just say, hey, this game ships for this much. If you don't like it, don't bid on it.
Yeah, exactly. Just be a little bit more like
Abrupt and
stern,
yeah.
and because I think that's the only
I try to be
way.
a good customer service person for something that it's not even a business, right? Like
right. Yes,
know.
exactly.
I don't know.
You're doing what you would expect someone else to do for a game that you were buying, which is great, and it's understandable.
But it's
But
also not
it's-
sustainable.
It's not
and
sustainable.
It's really rough.
Yeah, it's difficult on your mental health, and I'm hoping that me helping is alleviating a lot of that for you.
100%. It's alleviating 80% of that stress.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can't. There's
Good,
nothing you can do about the people who are being.
I can't
a-holes
control
about
people.
anything.
I wish I
Yeah.
could, but I can't.
But you're helping with the logistics part of it.
Yeah.
Which is the part that I hate the most because
Mm-hmm.
it's so repetitive. So some folks know this about me, but I've been working since I was a child, right? Like 11 years old is when I had my first job. But I've had a lot of different types of jobs. And I learned really early on that I'm not fit for repetitive jobs where it's like, I don't want to sit in a line where I'm doing one part of it.
Right.
And I've had several jobs like that. I used to put stickers on boom whackers. If anybody knows what that is, that's a
those-
Sedona company. And
Those plastic tubes that
Yeah.
you can play musical.
yeah. And I would
notes
just
with.
sit and get a tube out of a bag, put it in a machine, push a pedal, put the sticker on. And it wasn't that simple. The machine, you still had to like steady it. And if the sticker went on wrong, you had to pull the sticker, whatever. Hated that.
Yeah.
I used to solder microchip boards at the state hospital in California for machines that would allow people who couldn't speak to order fast food, like hamburger, vanilla milkshake, right? Hated that. Although I used to get Cool Ranch Dorito chips for lunch as a perk there. But I didn't like the work, right?
Yeah.
I worked at a book bindery and I really enjoyed all of the different aspects of doing a book. And I loved taking a book from start to finish by myself. But I hated the majority of that job was sitting at one station for a week, just taking the covers off of all the books.
Yeah.
Then sitting at the next station, rounding the spines, getting them prepared for the next, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is just so repetitive. I don't like those kinds of jobs. And even in my career of web design, there's a lot of repetitive stuff. Fortunately, because it's all digital, we can automate some of those more repetitive things.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still like, I go, another button? I got to make another button? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My brain wants to just do new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But it can't always do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I get a level of stress when I'm doing repetitive stuff.
Yeah.
And boxing up board games and stuff is repetitive. You know, sending the bill, sending the tracking number, it's all repetitive stuff. So it's
Yeah.
not something that I would be interested in doing as a job.
Mm-hmm.
If I did own some sort of shipping or distribution company, I wouldn't work on the line.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Because I know I would be a detriment to that because of the way my brain works. It
Yeah.
doesn't want to do those types of repetitive things.
Yeah.
Even like just routines are hard for my brain, right? Like, oh, it's time to brush your teeth. Oh, boy, I did that yesterday. Right? Like, not to be gross, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like, my brain doesn't want to repeat
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't really know what that is. I've never had myself mentally diagnosed for, issues, but I'm sure that I've got a lot of
You've
them,
got
right?
a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure I do. I've just always chalked it up to like, oh, I'm a creative, free spirit, but no, maybe I'm sick.
Or not just sick, but your brain is working in a different way. Doesn't mean sickness. Doesn't mean disorder.
Yeah.
Just means it's not average and it doesn't want to work a certain, way. Doesn't mean bad. It could also be positive. It's gotten you this far.
Yeah,
There's something positive about it.
I guess. So yeah, the auction's been the big thing this week. I'm really happy though. I do feel more relief than I feel stress because primarily your help, but also because I'm starting to see
Progress.
the bottom shelves again.
Yeah.
And going, oh, I do have that game.
Yeah.
Cool. Right? Because since we've moved in, I've been putting this off since we moved here.
Yeah. Almost 2 years.
Yeah. For almost 2 years, I've had a stack of board games sitting in front of the shelves. I'm like, I need to get rid of these.
One day.
But if I do this, I know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd been procrastinating it full on. Openly admit I'd procrastinated it for 2 years. I started the geek list for it in January and I didn't launch it until July because I knew it was going to be
difficult. Absolutely.
Horrifying.
And that's why I felt a calling to help.
Yeah. Well,
as much as I possibly
that.
could.
I appreciate that so much. Is there anything else going on in your life that you want to talk about before we get into our big topic today?
Oh boy.
Our huge topic.
I don't know. I've had it could have to do with the packing situation and standing for so long.
Oh, yeah.
But my back is crazily in knots. CBD is
packing.
not helping me sleep it off either. And I'm just.
No, it's definitely the packing.
Lord and
Every
craziness.
auction, I'm stiff and sore in my upper mid back for like a week afterwards because it's a lot of like folding and taping. You're like doing a lot of motion and packing and oh shit, that doesn't fit. I got to take all that out of there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the worst part, right? Like I'm pretty good spatially. Like I can go, no, that box isn't going to work for that stack. And you're good at that too, except for that you're forgetting about the packing that has to go in between.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, this will work. And I was like, that's not going to work because you got to put packing. You go, oh,
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I know it's a pain in the butt.
And so when I wasn't doing that, I was creating my outline for English.
For homeschooling.
For homeschooling my 9th grader, very soon to be here, English class. And so.
But you've been really stressed out about that. And I wish I knew how to take some of that stress for you from that. But
you're doing fine just by saying, you're doing great.
You are doing great. I think that's where most of the stress is coming from, is not that it's work that you don't want to do. It's work that you're unsure that you're doing right. Yeah. And so you're constantly like second guessing yourself about it, which there's nothing I can really do other than, awesome, that sounds great, right? But I think you also know that I'm the kind of person that I feel like would say something if I felt like you were taking the kids off the rails in a weird way, right? Like the schooling.
Like, I heard this song the other day. I was watching, I forget, this show called Virgin River. There was this song, and it's like,
does that have a Net O'Toole in it?
Yes, it does have a Net O'Toole in it. You keep your thoughts to yourself there.
She's not a virgin. I seen her screwing it in on TV once.
Okay, yeah, all right. Anyways, and there's this song, and I wrote it down. And it's like, I know everything's gonna be all right, but I don't know if everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's my life, because I can feel it in my gut that everything's gonna be fine. Right?
At some point.
I'm going to make the right choices.
Yeah.
He's going to make the right decisions and choices. Everything's going to be all right. But, I don't know if everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
It's like that yin yang thing that it's going to, but right now I'm stressing that it's not.
Yeah.
Eventually it will be, but I don't know. But I'm making this outline, and the other boys are coming to my desk quite often, and they're like, oh, what's this one? And I go, wait, you didn't learn this in high school? And they go, no, what is that? I'm like, come on, really? It's where you take your name. It's a poem. It's a poem format where you take your name and you write it vertical.
I know what you're talking about.
Then you write a poem based off of the first
letters.
letter of your, and then the second letter, right? So it's not, when you're younger, you do like, your name is James, right? So you take one word and go J for something like jump. Yeah. Right. But you make a poem. So it's like it starts the sentence at least. Yeah. So it's like just make people laugh. Yeah. Right. And then you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So, and I was trying to show Bryce one. He's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, so now I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm going to teach things that even our older boys who did go through public school didn't know, but yet I'm still worried about the school system thinking that I'm doing a bad job just
No.
because I'm homeschooling.
No, and I've been telling you this for years. I don't worry about the school system's opinion
I
of what
know.
you're doing,
It's-
because
I
if
know.
you look at either one of those boys and you would not call either one of them illiterate or uneducated.
No, I know.
Okay. And they went to public school and learned nothing.
I know.
They gained nothing from public school other than like, oh, this is how the real world is going to treat me. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. If anything, it harshened their reality rather than lifted them up and was like, oh, you learned this, and I can point to this as something that I've, figured out. But no, it didn't for them.
Yeah, I think part of
And every kid is different, I guess, but
think
it's
part
a lot
of
of
it for
pressure.
me, yeah, it is a lot of pressure. Part of it for me is like, I've known for a very long time that school's a scam, right? Just because I didn't learn anything in high school. I was a C.D. student. Heck, I failed English, and you would not consider me poor
No.
at English.
No, and I think that's the whole propaganda thing that
Yeah.
grown-ups tell you growing up. You go to school, period. You don't have a choice.
Right.
So when you're told that so many times, you start believing it and you go, well, the school's the only way out.
No.
For me, it was the only way out. The only way that I could get out of an abusive house situation was to go to school. School was better than being at home.
Yep.
And so, not that I reveled in it because people, right? There was other people at school, but I was more of a loner, but I'd rather be reading in a corner than, playing sports. But I would also rather be reading in a corner in a quiet situation than being at home. So it was a way out for me. And I just expected that when I had kids, they would just go into the school system and same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what everybody does, right?
But-
That's
but
what
they're-
we've always done.
Yeah, but their home, right, and that's dangerous. Their home would be better, right? Their home life would be better than mine. But then when Liam got to age 5 or whatever, and he was still very connected to me and didn't want to be as independent.
Yep.
And then we had that conversation, and you're like, we should just homeschool them. I'm like, but we're not religious. We're not, I don't,
Right. That was the stigma of
Yeah.
homeschooling in 90s. Yeah.
was that, you had to be overly religious and anti-government. And I was like, well, I'm not really that.
Yeah.
So I don't want him to be looked at as different or weird because of it. But I'm very thankful we did it because I think they did learn a lot because I put so much pressure on myself to do a good job.
Yeah.
That I taught them all kinds of things because I had their ear. They just followed me naturally because I'm their parent and they cared and I cared and we all just kind of did it together rather than me doing something to them, which is how I feel school is.
Yeah. School's very much that. I've
And then
never
if you
been
get
a fan.
if you get mentally programmed in that, you become lost,
Yeah.
which is what I feel like I did for a long time because it's
Yeah.
just better than the alternative.
Yeah. I've
doesn't-
never been a fan of public education or private education. It's not any better. It's just more expensive.
Right. And probably more stress
Yeah.
because now it's expected of you. Now your family's paying all of this money.
People who do well in school, people who excel in educational programs, do so because of their own personalities and their own habits and behaviors, not because school is inherently good,
Yeah.
not because school gives them something that they didn't have before, right? The only thing that school can really offer somebody is structure,
Yeah.
right? But then that structure is worthless to that person if that education doesn't match that structure. If you're just using the structure, then all you're teaching them is how to follow rules. And
Yeah.
that's fine, but you don't need to follow rules all the time.
And then what happens when that ends?
Right.
At some point, your educational whatever ends. And then where's that structure coming from after that?
Well, you have your cliche, this is college, Mr. Hansen. We don't do reminders here. That whole thing. It's
Yeah.
because high school does not prepare you for the reality of the world. High school teaches you how to be a good worker. Clock in on time, clock out on time.
But not for
Take a lunch break.
higher
Take two
education.
15-minute recesses. Think about the way that the average school day is structured in an 8-hour format with an hour-long lunch and two 15-minute recesses,
Yeah.
and that you have to be at your desk
Doing repetitive things.
Doing repetitive things for the rest of those hours. And then you get released to go home, and sometimes you have homework.
And there's
then
bells
what happens
and-
in the real world? You are required to show up on time. Sometimes you get 2 15-minute breaks and an hour lunch, and then you clock out and go home. But they don't let you just go home. You got work to take home. You've got phone calls to answer. You might have to work a double shift.
Yeah.
Right? The whole thing is set up to teach you how to be part of the machine of capitalism so that the people at the top can continue to make money off of your labor.
Back to school, everybody.
Welcome back.
And
Did you
then-
get the new fashions for school? And then school is just a cesspool
Yeah.
of bullying, and it's the place where you go through the point of your life where you have the most awakening of yourself, but you are doing it in a environment that is not safe,
Yeah.
and an environment that is detrimental to your mental health. Mm-hmm. And we put them in there, and we go, well, my mom and dad did it, and I did it, and I went through school. There has to be a point where we go, no, this is fucking hurting our children.
Yeah. And to a certain
Sorry about I'll get off my soapbox.
No, and it was for ours.
Yeah.
And one, I didn't have a choice because you had to have a bachelor's degree to teach homeschool high school
Yeah.
when Liam was going through high school. But then halfway through Bryce going through high school, they took that off. So
Yeah.
I could have a high school education and teach high school. Right. So, that kind of opened up, but I didn't have a choice with Liam. So,
Yeah.
but now that I know better, I can do better. So
Absolutely.
I don't know. Now tomorrow, I guess, is our local area are going back to school. Kids are going back to school.
Yep.
And during a pandemic and during a time where they've made it now illegal, I guess, to do mask mandates of certain kinds.
Well, there's a restriction on them. Yeah.
Now, kids are putting their lives in danger
Yep.
to go and do this thing that
It's still part of that system of teaching them to be a good worker.
I know.
Because you're an essential
now you have
worker.
to go to school sick or
Work sick.
Yeah, or the threat of being sick.
It's a mirror.
It's really sad. I know
It's bumming me out too.
It's stressing me out more so, and that's why I have to do a good job. That's why I have to sit and make this outline, and I have to make it work, and I have to assign reading and lessons that are going to make him want to be better.
Yeah.
Make him do better.
Yep. Well,
I know everything will be all right,
it will, but you don't.
but I don't know if everything's going to be all right
Yeah.
yet. I will.
Well, this got really heavy.
It did. I'm
and our
so
topic is more
sorry.
lighthearted today, so that's all right
Phew.
though. We'll get into it. We'll get into that
It's
topic.
It's like therapy though now.
It is like
I'm
therapy.
liking it, but my back is killing me.
I know. All right. Well, let's get into this topic.
Okay.
Hey, Lou,
Yes, sir.
I was thinking, and stick with me here. What if we had wrestling personas?
Can we be a wrestling duo?
Yeah, I guess we could be a duo. I guess that would be better than being individuals working at a pharmacy or something.
Okay. Okay. No, but do you want to be a duo as we wrestle together against someone, or do you want to do
you
the
mean
wrestling
a tag
with me?
team?
Yeah.
Oh, like a tag team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can be a tag team. And at some point, though, to make our story really interesting, at some point I flip sides or you flip sides. And then all of a sudden you're part of Hollywood Hogan's pack, right? The New World Order.
No.
The New World Order, brother, right? You're doing that thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we were a team. And I act so confused in the ring. Huh? What? And then out of nowhere, elbow right to the trapezius muscle. Cause that doesn't really hurt, but it's you can sell it really good. Oh, my hair and I'm sweaty. Yeah. Okay. I can see our stories playing out.
Well, the last time I watched wrestling with you, it was before the ladies kind of got involved. It was all dudes.
Oh yeah. When
The ladies came out and would skimpy stuff and oh yeah, but they didn't wrestle. Now they wrestle.
Well, they
also.
towards the end of when we stopped kind of watching wrestling. I don't even know why we really stopped, other than I think we just don't have cable anymore.
And we had to move our moving situation. We had to move a couple of times to like get out of Arizona.
Yeah. But we used to watch it pretty heavily back in the day,
Yeah.
like Monday Night Raw. And
Yeah. So 1997, 1998, we were like into it.
yeah, and I was watching it since I was a child, back when it was still the WWF before
Right.
it became the WWE. But yeah, I was really into it back in the Hogan days, Junkyard Dog days.
Yeah, I
Hacksaw
liked-
Jim Duggan. And he'd come out with a 2x4 and he'd act all crazy. Yeah.
Rowdy Roddy Piper
Oh yeah, Piper. Rest his
with
soul.
the kilt.
Yeah.
Yes, rest in peace.
That is
And then-
the biggest bummer I feel about wrestling has been.
What like
Yeah.
now every time so I follow Bret the Hitman Hart on
He's your favorite.
Instagram
Yeah.
only because he was cute back in the like when he was really young.
Yeah.
And he always had like the wet hair and he came out in black and pink and he had the skull.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
He was right up your alley.
Yeah, I liked it. And then, but I follow him on Instagram. And now that he's a little bit older, he's a testicular cancer survivor. And every time, it's like almost once a month, he'll say, rest in peace. And then it's some other wrestler.
Yeah.
Right? They're just like, they put all of their body and soul on the line because they love it.
Yeah.
And then it's used and abused and then it doesn't last very long. And so now the older crew are starting to die and it's really, really sad.
The thing is they don't get treated like real athletes.
Yeah.
And so they end up having to do things that a real
Quote,
quote
unquote.
unquote athlete wouldn't do to keep going.
Yeah.
To keep putting on a show. And so that takes undue stress on their bodies.
Yeah.
And they're also just larger than life human beings, right? And larger human beings just don't last as long as regular sized human beings.
Their fire is bright, but it burns really quickly.
Right. And so and then you have, when they fall out of the spotlight, they
struggle with that mentally.
Yeah, suicide, like all kinds of stuff really affects them. Drug abuse, alcohol addiction. It's very rare for old school famous wrestler, or even wrestlers that weren't famous, you just don't hear about them, to live for very long because they just give up in a way after
Yeah.
they're out of the thing.
Yeah.
It's super sad because most of the guys that I grew up watching and that I was like, oh, this guy's so badass, as a kid.
You don't see the behind the scenes stuff, what he's doing to keep going. And
They're gone now, though.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It is super sad. But Hitman Hart, I feel like he's one of the ones, and like Diamond Dallas Page
Oh, Diamond
has
Dallas
kind of
Page is
turned
good
himself
too.
around, and he's turned around that
Other
life for a
people.
lot of other wrestlers. Yeah.
Yeah, because now he has like a yoga type exercise.
Yeah.
What is it called? Program where
Yeah.
he can help people.
I have it.
Do you really?
Yeah. I've tried it a couple of times, and the last time I did it, I was in our closet. We had a huge closet in our last house, and I was in there doing the exercise, but I had like just a t-shirt and shorts on, which is not, normal for
Not your
me
comfort.
around the kids. And I was in there doing it, and I don't know why, but Cameron just comes into our closet, and I was like, no. And I was like doubled over, and part of my belly was exposed and sticking out, and I was just very vulnerable.
Yes.
I ended
in
up-
more ways than one.
Yeah, I ended up writing about that later to help me like process it. But I was like, what are you doing in here? Go on, get out of here. And it was so embarrassing. I just I'm not doing that again. I don't want to get in that position, that compromising position of being seen in that light again.
Yeah, I'm
But
sure.
I think that's a latent masculinity. Like I have to be better than,
well,
like not better, but I have to like always be that tough dad guy to the boys, or else they're gonna lose respect for me. It's so toxic.
yeah, but not purposefully. You're not
No.
purposely doing that, but you do have
But
a lot of
it's in there.
responsibility
Yeah.
because you have 3 males
Yeah.
who are looking to you, the other male in the family, or the oldest male in the family,
Maybe.
to like show the way of how to be a man. Right. And so that's got to be a lot of pressure. I just have one little tiny girl and I'm like, oh my God, I'm failing at every turn.
Yeah.
So I completely understand where you're coming from. Plus, on top of that, you were struggling with your weight and stuff. And so that's even a more vulnerable time for you to be in an exercise.
I think I'm still struggling with my weight, though. I don't want to make it
No.
like I've solved that problem. 'cause
I didn't want
I'm
to
still like,
put that in your face.
I'm still kind of like thinking about food a lot. And I don't know, it goes back and forth, right? Some days I'm fine. And then other days I'm like, yeah, you know what would be really delicious? Like I
No,
get that voice.
I know.
So I don't know. Like, I don't want to, I think it's like any other, addictive personality or quality is that I have to treat it as being in recovery as more
Healing.
than, more than healed. I'm healing.
Yeah.
And
Just
it's
a verb.
active. Yeah. It's an active process that I constantly have to, be mindful of and be in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wrestling. So wrestling, we went way off the wrestling thing.
Anyways, wrestling
We
is
loved it. We used to love it, or at least I did. Did
okay.
you?
Before I started watching it with you, truthfully, I thought, the old thing like it's fake, it's not real.
Right.
However, and the storylines are fake and not real, and they're made up, kind of a thing. But what they're doing physically
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah, the physicality is real.
To a varying degree, right? It got to be a little bit more intense the more we watched it, like what they would like cut their foreheads or something crazy. It wasn't always blood and guts kind of a thing.
No, but they've been doing that forehead cutting thing
Yeah,
forever.
I don't know if I can get behind that part, but after watching it for a while with you, I was like, well, this is why most people like it, is because it's like a soap opera, right? It's like, oh, no, he didn't. Sting changed sides and he's like, he rips open his it's like, it is dramatic, and it does have something there that you're like, oh, what's going to happen this time?
It's got story arcs and
Yes. And character development
And
over
redemption
time. Yes.
and-
It's got all that, the hero and the heel, and it's got all that really cool stuff if you can get into it. And after we had, in 1998, we had Liam, who was a teeny tiny little baby. But every time Ric Flair came on the screen and he's like, rah, 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 and then he went, woo! And little baby Liam would turn his head to the TV. Like, we could be talking to him and really engaging him. But if Ric Flair was on, so finally I was just like, okay, you know what? Let's really set this up. So tummy time, we would just kind of prop him up and then we would watch wrestling, and it worked because he would hold his head up for the longest time just watching Ric Flair. I have a picture of it. It's the cutest thing you've ever seen in your whole entire life.
Yeah, that was adorable. Yeah, wrestling, I think that was a pretty big part of our lives for a little while there.
Yeah.
Because we were watching it like every week.
Yeah.
Without fail, we were following the storylines. Like, do you remember Goldberg? Yeah, it's Goldberg.
Yep.
And just he would come out, and people would be like, "Oh, he's gonna wrestle this guy," and then he would the matches would be like 30 seconds long. We know that it's all like that part of it's set up, right? Like who wins, who loses, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they have to get in the ring and actually throw each other around and stomp on each other.
It's this choreographed dance, but they're doing it in such a harsh, dramatic way that you're like, whoa, that's got to be really, really difficult on their bodies, because we're all made of human materials. It can't be that easy to do at all.
I feel like, so you said it's like a soap opera, and I agree, but that's for the TV side of it.
Yes.
But if you think about it, when they're not filming it, there's still wrestling going on. Those are stage shows. That's theater.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's Shakespeare in the park, except for you're in a stadium.
It's such a masculine thing too, that now I haven't watched it in a very long time, but now even women are in there and doing the wrestling, and I think that's so.
Oh yeah, I wanted to
great.
say, you started to say that earlier, and I wanted to point out that towards the end of when we were watching it, that's when the women started to get involved in the wrestling part of it. Mm-hmm. But before that, they were traditionally like managers or just, this sounds disgusting, but eye candy, right? They were there just to make men tune in and be like, oh, I got to catch a glimpse of Miss Elizabeth this week because she's gonna be with Macho Man Randy Savage, right? Like, and it was just
It was
you know,
to help draw.
pretty, right? When they started WCW, they had like a dance troupe that was just like fit women doing dance moves, remember? And they were the WCW girls.
Okay.
And like there was Fire and there was the redhead lady, and then it was
That's where you started that whole joke about who's this redhead?
yeah.
Okay,
And it was
got
Diamond
it.
Dallas Page's wife
Oh yeah.
was the lead dancer of that troupe, remember? That was like the very start of where women started to become more involved in the
Yeah.
whole play of it, right?
not just pretty people walking around.
Yeah.
It was
They had
she
storylines and
yes,
shit.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it was kind of fun. I always wish that I could have gone to like a live.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, when I worked at the Ark
Oh.
in Sedona, we took the residents to wasn't a televised one, it was just a live one. But all the regular cast members were there wrestling, and we were right ringside
What?
with the bars, and Kevin Nash comes walking by. Dude, I think I'm pretty big, dude. I'm 6'7". Kevin Nash made me feel small, and I was just like, oh my god! Like as he walked by, like my eyes are, huh? Like I felt like a little kid. But it was amazing, and it was a WCW event, but it was an untelevised one. So the stuff you see on TV is one part of it, but
Yeah.
they're traveling all around the country,
Yeah.
just putting on shows too. So you go, oh, once a week you're on TV, big deal. That can't be too hard on your body. No, it's 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
They're just not showing them all on TV.
Right. That's what we have to remember as far as like just the human aspect of it is that it doesn't someone can be quote unquote an overnight success, but that they're discounting the 10 years it took to get to that point.
Yeah.
And, thinking about it all the time. And then on top of that, your own upbringing, your own traumas, going through just being a human being in general.
Right.
But now there's this huge thing that you can be a part of. And
Yeah, and then there was this like, and I don't know to this day. I haven't really looked into it. I'm sure there was something going on behind the scenes, but for a while it felt like WCW was poaching wrestlers from the WWF because at the time it was still the WWF, and so like we would get these new wrestlers coming in all the time, and they were like defecting from WWF, right? So I always thought that was pretty interesting. And so we got Hogan at one point, and then Hogan comes in and he's Hulk Hogan, right? He's the orange and the red for a long time.
Yeah.
But then eventually he becomes Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Now he's black and
gosh.
white, and he's part of the New World Order, brother. And he's like,
I didn't really like him at all.
nobody
ever.
really likes Hogan. I mean,
Because
back in the day when he was like, eat your vitamins, brother, like that Hogan, people
slowly
liked.
ripping
Yeah.
open his shirt. It's just,
Hulkamania people liked. But when he became Hollywood Hulk Hogan, the whole point was that he went from face to heel. And so then
Okay.
you were supposed to hate him, and people would be like, oh.
Wasn't there when like Sting did that kind of thing too, where he went
Yeah.
over, but then he was hanging up in the rafters or something,
Yeah.
and then he's just like ripped his shirt, and it's like he wasn't after all. He was just like a sleeper agent
Yeah,
or some kind.
he had infiltrated the NWO.
He was like, no, he didn't talk either. It was just the
No, you liked
the
Sting 'cause of
crow
that.
makeup
Yeah.
and like I don't know.
Yeah, you liked Sting as well.
That was always fun.
Yeah.
He was turning bad, but no, now he's not bad.
So your favorite
fun.
wrestler has always been Hitman Hart.
I have a soft spot for him. I don't think I ever really like saw him wrestle too much because I think he was starting to like retire just as we were watching it.
Yeah, he was starting to come out of it. I mean, Hogan was also
Yeah.
supposed to be coming out of it. but he
Hogan did
got,
the
like,
whole like Jordan thing where he would go in and leave and come out and just like make up your mind.
Yeah. A lot of wrestlers do that, though. I mean, there's like, I have to understand that there's got to be some draw to having a stadium full of people
Yeah.
chanting your name,
Yeah. And
whether they're mad at you or not.
right. Yeah, and there's that whole Shrek reference is like hit him with the chair. Like
Yeah.
you can't help but to like
Yeah, there's some hype there.
get into it.
Yeah. So my favorite wrestlers growing up, I really liked Junkyard Dog.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, Junkyard Dog had the chain Well, he was maybe before your time. It was the 80s.
Okay, so I think
He had red tights and he had the chain and he would come out and he'd bark.
that's
And he would
great.
hit people with a chain.
Like, where else can you come up
Yeah.
with this kind of stuff? It's funny.
Well, I remember I would go and spend the night at the Young's house. They lived in Roanoke Park. They used to live in the same neighborhood that I lived in when I was a kid. My family moved and then they moved and they ended up in a town over from us. And so we would get together, every once in a while, but I would go and stay over at their house.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember like some of the highlights would be like, they had Miracle Whip, right? And we didn't. So that would be like some of the highlights there. They had Miracle Whip, so I could get like a good cheese and meat sandwich, which I never got at home. We didn't have meat and cheese sandwiches. But then I had to go to church. Like, no, okay. I had to go with them to church.
Yeah.
But we would watch wrestling because it was usually on the weekend, and we would watch wrestling back in the 80s. And we would just get so hyped up when Junkyard Dog came out, or Steamboat Ricky the Steamboat. No, Steamboat? I can't remember how it goes. And then there was Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and like they were all big characters,
Yeah.
right? But like Jimmy, the Steamboat character was cool, and then the one guy was really acrobatic. Now I'm blanking. I just said his name just now. Superfly Snuka. He was really acrobatic, right? He would like do backflips and stuff off the top
Yeah.
rope. And,
That's an athlete.
Yeah,
Period.
exactly. They were all larger than life. They were like human superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Like we grew up looking at like Superman and Batman and stuff like that in those comics, and these guys looked like that for real.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them were like kind of fat, but most of them were really hugely muscular, and then you get guys like Andre the Giant who come out and he was like literally a giant.
Yeah.
And then Hulk Hogan would slam him and you're like, that's impossible. Right? Like that kind
Yeah.
of stuff it keeps you in it, right?
Right.
And there's tons of problematic things about wrestling, tons of them. But you cannot deny the showmanship and the showpersonship. I don't know if that's even a word anymore, of the whole thing. It's the theatrics, right? It draws you in and you're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you think Sting's going to show up this week in the rafters? What do you think? I think Sting is tricking everyone, right? Like that kind of like
Yes.
talking about it. And so I don't know. I just really enjoyed watching it when I was growing up. And then, after we got together, we continued watching it. That's when WCW and the WWF started to like compete with each other. I feel like my memory is that they were competing with each other, but now I think back on it and maybe the whole thing was just like, like a crossover event, right? Like,
Right.
like some sort of television crossover event to get more
Yeah.
people watching both of them, right? Because I cannot imagine that Vince McMahon would let Hulk Hogan just go to the WCW and not try to retain him, right? This is the face of wrestling at the
Right.
time. He's just going to let him go? No,
Yeah.
he's going to give him some more money and say, no, stay with us.
Right.
That just doesn't, right? Like it's, if you look
Yeah, I
at
don't-
like
I don't-
another more like legitimate, air quotes, sport, like baseball, your star player doesn't just go and play for the Oilers,
Yeah.
right? Like you go, no, we're going to retain you. How much more money do you want? That's what happens in that situation. But Hogan just goes over to the WCW. It's like no big deal. What about contracts and stuff? I think it was all set up now. Now I've convinced myself.
Well, what's the best thing to get people involved is to make a competitor,
Yeah.
right? And go, oh no, watch us, don't watch that.
Right, which makes me think that the WCW was never a real thing, that it was always Vince McMahon saying, hey, if we have like this other
Yeah.
show that's like competing with us, then we're going to create this rivalry.
Exactly.
I don't know. It seems like a crazy idea that dude would come up with. I think that dude is super problematic. Vince McMahon is probably a pretty horrible human being.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so what would your wrestling name be then? If you were,
My wrestling
if
name.
we're a duo, what would your?
We're a tag team. You can't call us a duo.
Why?
Because we're not superheroes. We're a tag team.
Oh,
When you're wrestling, you're tag team because it sounds more macho. When you
Well-
say you're a duo, people are like, oh.
why does it have to be macho? It's you and me.
Oh, okay.
It's
Let's be a
not-
duo then. What would my wrestling name be? Golly.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like probably something with Jim. I would probably use Jim because Jim sounds more like a guy who wrestles than James. It's me, James. I'm a good wrestler. Or Jimmy. It's me, Jimmy. I need you to get in the car with me for a second. No, it'd have to be Jim. It'd be like Jim, or something, like Sting's not that guy's real name. So it could be something like that too, like Thud or Thump. Thump. Here comes
The
Thump.
Thumper.
Oh, Jim the Thump. Oh, Jim the Trunk. Because I'm
you're
like,
like
a
a big
oak tree.
tree.
Boo, you can't even topple me down, buddies. I don't know what the voice would be, but
Probably
Yeah.
not that one.
Jim the Trunk. That sounds dumb. I don't know. I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I don't have so when I worked in California right out of high school, I worked at a place called Oil Changers, and the manager there was also very into wrestling. And so we talked about wrestling a lot, but he was so into wrestling that he went to wrestling school
Yeah.
and to learn to be a wrestler. And he would show up with big, gigantic bruises and stuff. And he said, well, you should go to school. And I'm like,
Yeah.
nah. I just never I don't know. All my life, because of my size, people have been like, oh, you should play football. You should play basketball. You should be a wrestler.
Yeah, but you played football for like a day and you hurt somebody. So
I try. I don't know. I don't want to cause injuries playing a game.
yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't sound like a fun time to me. I'm physically imposing, but I'm mentally timid. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like the person I physically am most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if I'm in a confrontational situation, watch the fuck out because I do know how to use this.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be in those situations.
Right.
And I don't want to be hurting other people if I can avoid
But
it.
you will if you have to.
I will, yes. Fuck around and find out. I will. I will fuck somebody up if I have to. If I'm protecting my family or protecting my own life or whatever, I'm not going to hesitate. I'm a little insane that way, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right? That has no draw for me. So just being big, and also I just don't think being big is the only thing that's necessary in most of those sports.
No.
I'm 6'7". I can't dunk a basketball. I'd be a terrible basketball player. I can barely make free throw shots, right? Yeah. Oh, but Shaq did it. Oh, great. He was 7'10" or something.
And he was terribly made fun of.
Yeah.
Like he would never make a three ever.
No. And I'm in basketball terms, I'm like a runt. I'm short. I'm a short man in a basketball team.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, hey guys, what's up? I don't know why I'm doing visual comedy while only you can see me doing this. Hey guys, what's up? Anyways.
Okay, so then what's your tagline?
Jim Trunk.
Your name is Jim Trunk.
Oh, yeah,
What's
I
your
would-
tag?
oh, I
You
would-
would just carry around a bit of wood?
Yes, because no, that's Jim Hacksaw Duggan. He carried around a bit of wood. I would not carry around wood.
Cricket bat?
I would say something like, yeah. So my personality would be I'm like corn-fed Iowa Protestant, and I'd be like, God didn't make me to run. God made me to smash. When I get you in the ring this weekend, Hogan, I don't know why I wouldn't be fighting Hogan. Almost smash you. Right? It would be something, it'd have to be something real white and real down home. It'd have to be something very cornbread-esque for me to get away with it.
Okay, what's the music intro?
Oh, absolutely the Final Countdown by Euro. Without that or Here I Go Again by Whitesnake. Something. Some hairband rock and roll. Yeah.
What's your costume?
Oh, yeah. So I have thought about that a little bit because one of the things about me, I don't like my body. I don't like the way that it looks.
Who does? Who likes their body?
And, wrestlers don't wear a lot of stuff.
Yeah, okay. Can we just talk about that?
It's mostly just
how in the
underpants.
world do you just come out in a little Speedo?
I don't know, but
Goldberg?
you-
How do you do it?
I
A
don't
little
know.
Speedo and boots? You gotta you got to have something like,
Well, think about this.
what's keeping you doing that? Because
Think about this. Wrestling is inherently homoerotic, right? There's like some
Well, I mean-
eroticism there because you are just two greasy, fit men grabbing at each other
yeah, but
and then embracing and tight and then releasing and you're sweating, embrace and release.
okay, this is going.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think that there's a lot of, well, I can't say that because I'm not in wrestling, but it feels like there can't be a ton of homophobia going on there because
Right. I mean,
there's some, you know, there's some intimacy happening there, some
Yes.
physical like eroticism and like I got you.
yeah,
Oh, got you. And I grab your butt and then I put my hand between your leg. Like there's
Okay.
just I'm gonna flip you
it's-
over.
We're not that kind of.
I'm gonna
podcast.
slam down on you and pin you, right? It's getting really 50 Shades of Grey in here. Yeah, no. So, anyways, back to the costume. So
Costume.
they don't wear a lot, right? And so I've always been very self-conscious about the flippy flappies and the floppy doopies on the body.
Okay.
So I wouldn't wear just a Speedo, right?
Right.
I'd have a full Evel Knievel jumpsuit type of situation, right? But it would be made out of that stretchy, like the same fabric that they use for the singlets or the Speedo, but just full costume up and down. But then it would have like not Jackson Pollock, maybe Jackson Pollock, but like a cubist painting all over it so that you couldn't follow my curves. You couldn't see where, like, you'd be like, that's an angle, but
It's
wait,
so
is that a curve?
distracting that
Yes.
you just wouldn't like care
Right.
too much about the curves.
Right. So it'd be dressed sort of like a DC villain that they were like, we need a guy for this. And they're like, oh, yeah, the cubist. And then it's just wearing a costume of a cubist painting.
Okay.
That's what I would wear.
All right. What's your finishing move?
Oh, finishing moves are great. So the secret about finishing moves is most of them are just regular moves with a name. Right?
Yeah.
So like the Stone Cold Stunner is literally just, you know, grabbing a guy backwards, you know, with his head on your shoulder and then falling on your butt.
Yeah. What is
It's just a normal move, right? So I don't know. It would have to be something that goes along with the, does my character have to be racist because he's from Ohio?
No.
And Christian?
No.
No. Okay, so no
False.
racism. Oh, maybe that's the twist of that character.
No.
Is that he is anti-racist, like
Oh, okay.
strongly anti-racist.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, it's definitely just a move where I get up on the top rope and I get the guy across my back with his hands out to the sides and I call it the Redeemer, and then I jump us both off the top rope and we land on him,
That's good. There you go. Good job.
the Redeemer. Yeah. No, because I'm facing outwards.
Okay,
I'm facing
can I
out
make-
from the corner from the turnbuckle. Dude is back to back with me, but I've got him in the armpits, so his arms have to stretch out, and he's facing the inside of the ring, and he's looking like
scared.
Oh yeah, he's so scared, and I'm like, I shall baptize you, and then I like
no.
jump, like leap with him in the air, and then we just fall on his. He falls face first on the mat, and I come behind him like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, booty, and I like jut out my booty so that clunk. Maybe
Can
a
I
little
make
lower
a couple of
backbreaking.
suggestions?
Yes.
Like the finishing move. I like the name, I guess. But the costume, I'm gonna have to veto.
Instead of gym trunk,
spandex.
maybe it just be.
Just how where
Wait, I just realized that gym trunk sounds like I'm like in high school and it's like get your gym trunks. So it'd be just the trunk.
Jimmy the trunk?
No, just the trunk.
Oh, the trunk. Here comes the trunk. So just wear
And people
like
will be like, the truck? Did you say the truck?
so just wear like overalls with the sleeves cut off.
Oh no, that's actually that's a good idea.
And then like, work boots or something.
That's also an homage to an older wrestler whom I can't remember, but he used to he didn't have a shirt under, but he would just wear overalls into the ring.
So yeah, so just do like, the full sleeves and pants work jumpsuit thing, right? The
Yeah.
farmers wear,
Right.
but then just cut off the sleeves where you like them, because you do like a cut off sweatshirt.
Yeah.
and then just wear that. That would be cozy. But then that's like oversized.
But are the
It's a little scary looking. It's almost
Are the-
Mike Myers-ish.
right? But are the overall? Oh no, I
It's
see
not
what you're saying.
overalls. It's a work overall.
You're talking about like a mechanic's,
Not like
full suit.
Yeah. Not
like
like
what Michael Myers wears, but with
Yeah.
cut off sleeves.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying overalls.
No,
with
not
the
the
straps.
strappy click buckles.
And
no.
then I was going to say, well, does that get to be that stretchy material, like that jeans, stretchy jeans material?
No, it's like Mike Myers, but with sleeves,
Oh, I gotcha.
short sleeves,
Well,
not long sleeves.
That would need to have some stretchiness to it, though, because
yeah,
some of those moves, I'd tear that butt right open.
We would reinforce the butt. Okay.
Maybe that's a thing. The butt doesn't get reinforced, and when it tears open, it reveals my star-spangled speedo.
Yes.
Such a dumb character. This
No,
is
it's
why I
great.
didn't even go right for WWF.
It's great.
Yeah, I guess. What? Okay, what would your character's name be?
I can't come up with a name. I don't know.
The name part, I think, is the hardest part because you want it to sound tough and intimidating.
I kind of like Lady D, but I don't know why I would
Oh.
have the D part. I have no idea.
Because that sounds good with D or with Lady D.
The
You
tag,
could still just be Lucy Von Burps,
I guess.
and you could be Regal.
Yeah, or Lucy Von D. There we go.
Why don't you like the Burps?
The B.
Oh, B. You said B?
B,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you said D. Lucy Von B.
And
yeah.
then inspired by, but I've also liked the idea of wearing like something kind of delicate and frilly, but then wearing boots with it, like lace up boots, or Kat Von D like has a Slayer boot that's like amazing.
Those are great.
So they're like boots that go up your calf a little bit. Mm-hmm. But like wearing something delicate and frilly, but then also wearing boots with it and being kick ass. I like that idea.
Well, you have those boots.
Yeah, I do.
They're awesome.
So that would be my outfit, I think,
Okay.
with like some
What about you?
shorts underneath, so I don't show the bits, because I will be flying in the air.
Well, don't they make a thing that goes into like a swimsuit bottoms that helps like make it so it doesn't bunch up on you? Isn't there like a, I don't want to say tape because I don't know, but isn't there some sort of like wardrobe functionality piece that you can put into a swimsuit that makes it so that it doesn't show too much?
Oh, like double-sided tape kind of stuff.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what it's called. I thought
sure.
there was something like that though.
I don't know.
I would assume there is because, you know, you got people like Beyonce out there doing high kicks in a spandex
That's
and
double-sided tape, but it's like for exactly for that.
to keep it in place and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's flexible, like
Because I don't know about you.
it's like flexible tape, but it's sticky on both sides, so you can stick garment to the skin.
yeah. Because if I put on some briefs and then I do a high kick,
Yeah.
that side that the kick happened on, that part of underwear goes into my butt crack naturally.
Yes.
And then I have to go, oh, what's that doing in there? So,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And these people come out in these, like, even the male wrestlers, how do they? Well, actually, I've actually seen some ass cheek happen
Ew,
on this, so maybe
gross.
they're not doing anything.
And then the music entrance music
Yes, entrance
would be Woman by Kesha.
Oh, I like that song.
Yeah. And the finishing move, I think, would just be a roundhouse kick.
Oh,
the throat.
Oh, yeah, no, that's perfect with those boots.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's my wrestler.
yeah, that sounds really sexy. I'd be like, I want to tune in for Lady D. Or no, we changed it to Lucy Von B. Do you guys see Lucy Von B this week? She roundhouse kicked Vince McMahon.
In the neck.
It was hot.
It has to be to the neck, I feel. The neck is just a vulnerable spot. I always want to just punch people in the neck.
Well, yeah.
Because people expect getting hit in the face. They expect getting a body shot, but they don't expect getting punched in the neck.
Yeah. Do those boots have heels on them?
Yeah.
Spiky
got a lot.
heels?
No, not spiky.
It's a chunky heel.
yeah, it's a square heel.
Oh yeah, so you
But
could
it's
do
like
that
an
then.
inch.
You could use that then, because if you get somebody in the side of the neck, the front of the neck's dangerous, but the side of the neck, especially those buff dudes or buff ladies, there's gonna be a lot of padding there, but
Yeah.
it looks brutal,
Yeah.
right? Because that's the part of it, right? Is
Right.
what can we do that looks brutal but is really not super dangerous?
Yeah.
You're still gonna get hurt,
Yeah. But
but
then they're
probably
they're-
not gonna die.
their face goes to the mat real quick.
Yeah,
That's what I like.
I like it. I like that.
It's cool, right?
Yes.
I don't know what color fluffy dress. Probably just black or something.
Yeah, I see you in just all black.
Yeah. Because we watched The Suicide Squad the other night, last night and the night before. And
Well, don't talk. We're going to do a show about that
I
one.
know, but Harley Quinn has the same kind of getup where she's got a big fluffy dress
Oh,
on,
yeah.
but she's wearing red, and red's just not my color. So I don't know what color.
Yeah, I think she
Like
wears.
purple, maybe. I guess purple would be cool
Oh, yeah, purple could be really sweet.
because I'm a big lady, and you just don't expect to see that
You're
in
not
a
a
dress.
big lady.
I am.
No, you're not.
Okay, you look up what's
No.
the average size lady,
No.
and you will not see 5'11". You just won't
No.
see it, dude.
Okay, you're tall, but you're not a big lady.
In every
Nobody
school
looks at you.
picture I have ever taken, I'm in the back with the dudes, and all the ladies are in the front 2 rows.
Okay, but nobody looks at you in person and goes, "Whew, that's a big lady."
You don't know that.
They don't. They don't. They go, "Oh, that
You
lady."
know-
Especially if you're with me, they probably
Well,
can't
okay,
even tell.
Right. But I've been, like you were saying, I've been stopped in the hallway in high school every year around basketball time. Hey, you're going to sign up? You're going to sign up
yeah.
for basketball? Come on. I got a spot for you. No, go away. Leave me alone.
You're like, "Go away from me.
Leave me be, sir.
You're harassing me at this point. I'm not going to play your balls. Your
I
basket
don't like
and balls.
sports ball, okay?
I don't like your sports balls. Go. Well, you were into volleyball though for a while, right?
Okay, so here's
That's a tall girl sport.
yes, here's the story on that. When I was a kid, I changed schools for 3rd grade, and you couldn't play volleyball until 4th grade. Well, my mother, she loved volleyball. She always played it, not in school or anything, but she just liked playing it. Well, she was the assistant coach at the new school. And then when the head coach retired, he wanted her to take over. But the school didn't. The school put somebody else as the head coach. So she's kind of stayed on as the assistant coach, kind of upset.
Yeah.
And so I started on that team when I was in 5th grade, and I wasn't having a great mental time in my life.
Yeah.
So I was playing, but the head coach lady put me on the B team with the younger kids, and all the other 5th grade girls and 6th grade girls got to be on the A team. And so I was not popular. And so I also wasn't having the greatest time because
Yeah.
there was a whole bunch of like the head coach lady, she had a daughter, and her daughter was on the A team, and her daughter was popular in the school. And so it was one of those nepotism things that you just can't get around
Well,
sometimes.
I did not mean to bring up this bad memory for you. I'm sorry.
But then, so in high school, all those popular girls got on the volleyball team, and I was like, nah, I would rather just play and have fun in the backyard.
Yeah.
I don't want to play for a team with all that. This is my daughter, and she just happens to be on the A team. You know what? No,
It's pretty
I don't
stressful.
think that's.
Yeah.
I don't think that's cool. I wouldn't do that.
You know where it gets sticky though, and I do feel for them in some ways, is if your child actually is
Yeah, I get
the
it.
best player,
I get it.
but then it looks like nepotism, right?
Because
That's very rare. That's
even
rare.
though my mother was the assistant coach, and then she stopped being the assistant because the head coach lady didn't like her.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. I would have been in that kind of same situation, but I was only playing volleyball to be near my mother, to be around, to do something that she liked. Because I was, the dark kid, and,
Yeah.
I wasn't the sports kind of kid. I did run track, especially after I got surgery
Yeah.
on my back surgery. And afterwards, in order to help with my physical therapy stuff, I decided, well, I'll just run track. That's not
Yeah.
really a team sport. I'll just run by myself. I'll just run.
It's kind of a team sport, but it's more like
You're on a team, but it's more individual.
it is.
It's up to you
Your
and you
thing is
alone.
individual, but it's the combination of everybody that wins or loses,
Yeah.
right? Because I was in track as well, track and field, and
Yeah.
I was in track and field in high school. I did shot put and discus, and sometimes they would make me run, and I'd be like, this is not the part I like. I don't want to
Yeah.
do this part. I want to just throw this metal ball and throw this metal disc thing. And that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
So can I just do those two
Exactly.
things? I ended up I varsity lettered in track and
super
field
cool.
and got an MVP award for my senior year.
Yeah.
Because I excelled at shot put and discus. I was very good at those things. I never even got the spin down for shot put. I was just pure muscle throwing the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I never got to the point where I also had the momentum and leverage. I probably could have thrown another 10 feet if I'd ever got that like down. I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
And I didn't,
I bet if you had like YouTube back then, you could watch it over and over and try it yourself and all that.
yeah.
I bet you could perfect it. Like now, I bet you could.
Yeah, but now I have a different mindset about stuff. Back then, I didn't feel like I could just do anything that I put my mind to hard enough.
Yeah.
I felt more like constricted. Nowadays, I feel like, there are definitely like limits, right? I will never be 5'4". That's not possible. But if it's just a skill-based thing that I can learn, then I can probably get really good at it if I put enough time and effort into it.
Yeah. Just high school, I just didn't want to be on any team after all of that negativity and name calling and all that stuff. I was on 0 teams. Then I wanted to do my own thing and get through high school and move away. That was
Yeah.
my goal.
I'm sorry.
No, I was fine. It was everyone else that was like freaking out.
Yeah,
I
you're
can't
like-
believe you're going to waste your height. I'm like, you know
Waste
what?
your height. Come on.
My
Jesus
height is
Christ.
not for anyone but me.
No, I think I kind of get that a little bit though, because I remember in high school really wanting to grow a beard and not being able to. But there were other kids that clearly could grow beards, right?
Yeah.
Like they'd come to school clean shaven, by 3:00 they had like
Ew.
5:00 shadow. And I'd be like, just grow it. I want to live vicariously through you. Just let it happen. Just let
Okay.
it grow.
Well-
Just grow that beard in. Oh, I can't do that. I'm a teenager.
Steroids. Jeez Louise.
I don't know what it was. Some kids do. Like I knew this one kid. I can't remember his name.
Well, don't say his name.
But he could grow a mustache like in the 6th grade.
Ew.
He-
What is wrong with these kids?
I don't know.
That's gross.
It was impressive though. I remembered his name. I'm not going to say it.
Don't say his name.
But yeah, he could grow a mustache, and then by high school he was, full beard.
Ew.
I could grow like kind of like shitty sideburns and like a little dirty teenage mustache. Cool. It wasn't until much later, but now I feel like I can grow a pretty good beard.
I used to like hope and pray I never grew a mustache or a beard. I learned
The opposite of me.
there was these books called the Guinness Book of World Records when I was a kid. There was
Oh,
like
yeah.
everywhere. And there was this lady and she had a big beard and mustache. And I was like, oh, please don't let me be that one. Like I'm already singled out by things.
Yeah.
I'm the funniest girl, but I'm also the best recovery from surgery. Like I don't need a beard and a mustache on top of that. You know what I mean?
I think
Like
that-
don't make me be this one.
I think some people just have more hair than other people, right? I knew
Yeah,
a girl,
I get that, but still.
I knew a girl in high
please.
school that had sideburns. They were like, not like Jason Priestley 90210 sideburns, but they were like, hair growing down the side of her face.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's weird or anything. It just happens, right?
Yeah,
Some
I
people
get
just
that.
are hairier than other people.
But I was blessed with other curses, like
Yeah.
just not that one.
But you're not very hairy at all. Like,
No.
you don't have a lot of arm hair or leg hair.
Yeah, thankfully.
I have a lot of leg hair and arm hair, but it's like whitish
Light
blonde,
colored.
and you can't see it.
Nah,
You can feel it if you touch my arm or something, but you just can't see that shit.
which is great for your tattoos.
I guess,
out.
but it's always made me feel a little less masculine because I'm just not like physically hairy. Like I remember my dad worked for a guy and he had really thick, hairy knuckles, and I was terrified. I was like, I don't want to grow hair on my knuckles.
Yeah.
I do have hair on my knuckles.
Isn't it
though.
weird how you think of these things and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, please don't let me be that.
Yeah, I do have hair on my knuckles, but you cannot see it because blonde hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy just had really thick, black, coarse knuckle hair. And I was like, oh my Lord. I was a shorter child when I met this man, like not short for my age, but just shorter, right? Like at one point I was not 6'7".
Right.
And so I remember I was standing next to my dad and they were talking and this guy talked with his hands a lot. And I just remember like just super like zoned in on his knuckle hair and being like, oh my goodness, no. And being kind of like frightened because my dad didn't have knuckle hair like that either.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this guy's like, something's wrong with this guy.
It's crazy how we think like what the perfect image is of
Yeah.
like, okay, I feel female, so let me see what's the closest female to me. Oh, I don't like that. Let me
Yeah.
hope that that's not that.
Yeah. That's the thing, right?
That goes in like with wrestling too. You're attracted to certain things, but not other things. And then
yeah.
it's those things that stick in your mind.
So I think that, one of the many downsides of wrestling as a entertainment thing, there's lots of stuff we didn't really talk about, but I think you just reminded me of one of the major things is it does cause, we don't talk about it as a society, but it does cause, masculine people to question their own shapes
Yeah.
and their own masculinity, right? Because it's very almost toxic masculinity going on where it's like your shoulders have to be enormous and you have to have like perfect pectorals and 8-pack ab.
Yeah.
Some wrestlers break that mold, right? Some of them had big guts or just kind of fat, but a lot of them were just super fit human beings, physically looking, aesthetically at least.
Yeah.
And it gets in your head
Yeah.
as a child, right? You look at somebody and you go, oh, I don't look like that.
Yeah. And I mean,
So I'm not a real man. I don't fit the mold of what everybody thinks is the super masculine. And it's the same thing as like supermodels on magazine covers, right?
I'm not represented in that. Absolutely not.
It's worse though, because I think generally speaking in society, men can be fatter than women can and be acceptable. I'm air quoting.
Yeah.
I don't feel that, but like society feels that way in general, right?
Yeah.
Like fat,
It's
like,
at least
unless
portraying that.
Yeah, you have to be like 500 pounds, 400 or 500 pounds as a man to be like, start to get like real discrimination towards you as being fat, right?
Yeah.
But a woman can be 160 pounds and start like getting discrimination and comments and
Because
sneers
that's
and
nowhere
stuff.
near a size 0.
Right, but a 200-pound man is not a size 0 either, but a 200-pound man
It's
doesn't
double
get
standard. What do you?
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
100%. But there is still that, not to belie that, but there is still like, I think some mental trauma that goes on for especially for me growing up, seeing all of these hulking men and knowing I'm not going to ever look like that. And then hearing, girls at school go, oh my God, that is so hot. That's so gorgeous. And I'm like, oh,
Right.
right. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever be that. And so it fucks you up. It fucks your head up. I've been thinking a lot about like traumas that we don't really talk about or think about, but that are still traumas. And that's like one of them, right? But just things that happen to you that are small or they seem small at the time, but they have repercussions and they ripple throughout your life
Yeah.
and they change the way you see yourself and love yourself,
And even as a kid, you might see something as, oh, I just had fun. I was just having fun.
Yeah.
But the older you get, you go, oh, that was just dangerous.
Yeah.
That was not safe. That was, I felt not secure. That was not okay.
Yeah.
Because now I'm on the other side of it. I can
Yeah.
see it much more clearly and go, no, that messed me up.
Yep.
That wasn't okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, we're getting way off of wrestling, but
I don't know.
maybe.
It's not, because they're pretending to be someone else. They're not, maybe Bret the Hitman Hart was real, but in the ring, he has more ego than he does outside of the ring.
Oh, for
Outside of the
sure.
ring,
Yeah.
he's a family guy, and he loves his brothers who were also wrestlers, and he loves his father who is also wrestlers, and his uncle. He's a big family guy, but in the ring, he's not going to show that vulnerability.
Yeah, I think
pretending.
that's part of the problem, though, right? Is that there's this, you can't show your
Soft side.
your softness or your weakness because it's dangerous to do so. Well, what if more people who had public spotlights on them and platforms were more transparent and open about
Brave.
the realities of their own situations, right?
Yeah.
Because we see now, years later, that a lot of these guys are just surviving.
Exactly.
And why? Because they perpetuated an an image of themselves that's impossible to sustain long term.
And now, it's easy for us to say now because we're in such a informational age.
Yeah.
But back then, we survived schooling without Google,
Yeah.
right? So we didn't know half of the crap that we know now.
Right.
So it's we can say, oh, that was bad, but we didn't know any better. So it wasn't.
Yeah. When we were in school, we had to really rely on authority figures telling us the truth.
For a fact.
A lot of it was not the truth.
No.
A lot of it was very whitewashed. A lot of it was very revisionist. And so we learned incorrect things.
Yeah.
We learned things that weren't true. And even something as innocuous as making any photograph ever of Martin Luther King in black and white so that it felt like it happened a longer time ago. When I was in high school, Martin Luther King only had happened 30 years prior.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like that.
All of the photographs were in black and white to make it feel like it was even older than that. Right? Those are subtle, nuanced ways that we rewrite history to suit our whiteness.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. But without the internet, there was no way for us to know that stuff because we can only trust the people and the books that we were provided or had opportunity to see, right?
Yeah.
Now,
I tell our kids all the time, when you know better, you can do better.
Yeah, exactly.
But before you know, it's not your fault.
I think that's the key. I think that's the key is to go, okay, as soon as I know this thing, now I can't go back to being the way I was before.
Can't ignore that now,
right?
because I know it.
Yeah.
And so if I continue, then I'm the problem. But if before I know something, it's not really on me.
Right.
It's on me to find out the truth. It's on me to keep digging and to question everything.
Right.
But it's not my fault if I didn't know something.
Right. And then you find it out.
Yeah.
And then you just stop that behavior.
Exactly.
Or you try to figure out, it's not always just as cut and dry as stop the behavior, but try to learn how to make a plan to get to a point where you don't have to participate in that anymore.
Or rebel as much as possible.
Right. Yeah.
As much as you can within safety limits. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
thanks for being a wrestling tag team with me for a minute.
Oh, yeah. I thank you so much. Maybe next time we'll talk about wrestling.
Nah, that's a whole separate podcast, babe.
Ah, damn it. All right.
That's a whole different thing.
Lou and Me After Dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Lou and Me podcast, subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or Spotify.
And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Lou and Me Podcast.
Lou and Me is a Matthiasaurus production, produced and edited by Moose. The song is No Carpets by the New Forevers, hosted by Lou and me.
Thanks for listening.